Thank you, Marshad, for the flattering introduction. I'm a bit embarrassed about these, high-profile introductions. But thank you very much, and also a big thank you for Amka for inviting me and for sharing the Sri Lankan perspectives on the reporting the pandemic. I would share my presentation into two factors. Number one, after listening to most of the colleagues from South Asia, India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, I feel Sri Lankan perspectives are not different. So let me share some thoughts from Sri Lankan perspectives in the first part of my presentation. And the second part, I would suggest, and I would propose a set of recommendations to take it forward as AMCA. With that opening remarks, Sri Lanka situation in reporting the pandemic has not been much different from those of India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, what we have, and also Nepal, what we have heard so far. Um, eh, let me take it in point by point. I mean, loss of jobs, the failing of industry, had been a very cardinal feature, as our friend from Pakistan, Waqas said. It's very heavily featured in Sri Lankan media landscape also. Um, but if you look at the content of the coverage for the last 1.5 years or more than 1.5 years in the Sri Lankan media. When I say Sri Lankan media, I am referring to the mainstream legacy media platforms. It has been bit awkward or frustrating, or we are not happy as the audience, because though the journalists working in the legacy media wanted to project a professional picture, the ownership of the media had intentions of otherwise. They had, in our countries, the media ownership is driven by not by commercial interest but by political interest. So the current context of Sri Lanka, specifically the media context, more than 90% of the media landscape is heavily driven by one political camp, which is the governing political camp. And thus, the media content also took a very dramatic turn, and they have heavily sidelined with the government narrative or the ruling party narrative. So we saw a huge spread of disinformation or even malinformation, not by social media, but by legacy media on when reporting pandemic. First, they were spreading myths. They were spreading what the government wanted to know by the people. So there were so many stories about these indigenous bogus doctors producing unchecked, scientifically not proven medicine for COVID-19, and then mythical practices for against COVID-19. So they were widespread on legacy media. Number two, there were unethical reporting by the media. When I say unethical reporting, for instance, violating the rights of the patient. In the first 3-4 months, the television media particularly exposed the identity of the patients. The camera crews went to the houses of patients and exposed them, which is entirely against ethics of media and also privacy laws of the country. We don't have a privacy law, but at least they violated the individual rights of a patient. So some lawyers have to highlight this, saying you are not doing the correct thing. If this patient goes to courts, you are in trouble. Then it was stopped. So there was a mess in reporting this pandemic by the legacy media outlets. On the industry side, as Waqas said in Pakistan, we also felt a lot of losses in the industry. The print media is collapsing. Personally, the projections were like the print media will die in 50 years in the global context. But now with the pandemic, we see that the speed of print media vanishing from the market is expediting because people are reluctant to buy newspapers. So media more coming into platforms. So specifically print media is facing massive challenges of sustainability, commercial viability. Also at the same time, because of the economic collapse, commercial sector collapse, advertising budgets are heavily decreasing. So the television stations and radio stations are in the verge of, some are in the verge of dying or losing profits. So this result in loss of jobs. As very correctly said by our colleagues, we have not done like you did in Vakas in Pakistan. We have not done proper counting how many have lost their jobs, but we know so many journalists have lost their jobs. And added to that, we know an instant where a journalist committed suicide because the media house refused to adapt to new normal. I was highlighting this issue, but none of the media organizations in this country took up this case. This, I don't want to say a female disabled or differently able journalist who requested the media house to switch on the elevator because she cannot climb 5 stories. And the company decided to switch off the elevator under the COVID-19 restrictions. But the truth was they want to switch off the elevator. So this poor girl could not climb 5 stories. And the company refused. And she requested the company to allow her to work from home because she was a sub-editor. And again, company refused that. She has to come and climb 5 stories. Twice, I think, twice or thrice, she fell down from the stairs. Her colleagues carried her to the 5th floor. And on her way back, she jumped to the river. She committed suicide. In fact, what happened was she was not died of jumping into the river. She was rescued by a group of fishermen. She was admitted to the hospital. She was in a ventilator. And then there was a severe COVID patient came in. The doctors decided to remove her ventilator and fix it to the COVID patient. So she died. So even our media organizations did not pick up this story. This is about now 2-3 months old. So how are we to get our media houses to adapt to new normal? This is a big challenge. On the other hand, social media, the journalists in main newsrooms who cannot voice the plight of the patients or the correct story because of the agenda of the ownership, they shifted to the social media. They picked up the social media, and social media was the, I would say, media that highlighted issues, at least in some form. I'm not saying it's 100% correct. So many disinformation, so much of malinformation, so much of misinformation flooded the social media platforms. But at least there was a fact checking, or there was some kind of a factual, or the watchdog role that was supposed to be done by the legacy media was done by social media platforms. But again, as I said, there was so much of disinformation again on the social media, and there was so much of propaganda uh, on social media by sponsored groups. And added to that, the community standards of social media companies also became a problem when reporting COVID-19. In some instances, this is the issue of, I mean, I'm sure it's in Bengali language or Urdu language or Hindi language or Nepali language. We have issues with community standards of social media because they interpret the English translation of our narrative, which could be misleading. So many Facebook users, so many activist groups, advocacy groups are suffering because of some misinterpretation of community standards, specifically when reporting COVID-19. So um, I think I tried to cover the big picture of the situation, and I'm reaching my time limit. Let me come to my second part of presentation, which is the recommendation to AMCA. I can see a wealth of information coming from South Asia because the COVID-19, when you take the global pandemic of COVID-19 and its reporting and its media challenges, I think South Asia has a lot to share with the rest of the world, and also the South Asian countries. We have a lot to share among ourselves. We have to learn from each other. I can see from every country we are echoing the same issue. uh, this is not unique to Sri Lanka. I'm sure this is unique to every SAARC country participating in this forum. So there are a lot of parallels. There are a lot of commonalities. So we can document these issues coming in this platform, the parallels, and how are we going to face this. Some kind of a recommendation. This could be a AMCA document. I don't know how far you AMCA is prepared in documenting these key highlights of these presentations. I can see people like Dr. Pradeep Veerasinghe is online, who is one of the top academic who is voicing through academic discipline the COVID-19 and pandemic reporting issues. So Dr. Pradeep, a person like Dr. Pradeep can be very useful to AMCA in grasping these parallels, documenting this, and coming up with a document that can be shared with the rest of the world, and also that can be shared among our countries, because our problems are the same. Whether it's India, whether it's Pakistan, whether it's Bangladesh or Nepal, we are facing the same issues. We What are the same issues? The economic conditions, the politicization of media, the polarization of media, unprofessional standards, uh, poor journalists. So these are common issues, and we have not different in our approaches in covering the pandemic. I don't think we have, as a legacy media, as conventional media, I don't think we have done our due role as a watchdog, providing information and guiding the masses. We entirely did the opposite as a media, because we have different agendas in our society, led by the media ownership. Um, with this comment, I will stop. I will be here for the next 20 minutes because I have another engagement at in 20 minutes. In my absence, if there are questions, I'm sure people like Dr. Pradeep will definitely respond. He is participating in this forum, and thank you very much. And I appreciate the former presenters for your openness and your understanding. Excellent collective, and I congratulate AMCA for this initiative. But don't stop with this. Take it forward, at least with the document, with a set of recommendations, at least for journalists in the region. Thank you.